This episode of the ZuLoo Pōōdcast is sponsored by ZuLoo Inc., a benefit corporation dedicated to the goal of universal access to toilets, hygiene, clean water and sanitation through the power of social enterprise. Learn more at ZuLoo.com.
Anyway, it's a happy story because it's a baby born in the bathroom. Apparently she did not know when she was sort of pushing and then a baby comes out.
But I want to know how long that flight was, because labor is a long time.
It was from
some people have fast deliveries.
Yeah, was that her first baby?
From Australia to Hawaii.
Oh,
so it was a long
you can
flight.
have a baby from Australia to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You could probably get pregnant and then have a baby. By the time you get there.
Welcome to the ZuLoo Pōōdcast, where we talk all things poop, toilets, and sanitation. Through insightful news, impact stories, and quirky humour, we aim to discuss and highlight the critical role toilets play in whisking poop out of our lives, the impact toilets have, or lack thereof, in the health and wellness of humanity, and what ZuLoo is doing to help solve the current global sanitation crisis.
Hey, ZuLoo friends! Welcome back to the ZuLoo Pōōdcast. We're just delighted to have you on for another episode, listening in, tuning in. We've got the goods, as always.
Got the good. Howdy.
Bringing you some gold in the form of poo talk. Jocelyn's losing it already. So
We haven't even started.
You started cool. You both looked at me and I had nothing.
Well, you should be saying howdy. You kind of got a little country vibe going on.
Got your plaid on.
I'm showing it.
That's
right. You don't have to say howdy.
I don't have
Everybody
my
knows.
boots on, but I got some cool boots. I'll wear them next time.
All right. We look forward to it. Well, ZuLoo listeners, special treat for you today. We had the opportunity to speak to Dylan from the University of Cape Town. What still blows my mind, we've got contacts on literally the other side of the planet. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And
when we're waking up, they're going to bed.
they're going to bed.
And they've already done a ton in the toilet space.
They've already done what we're about to do.
That's right.
That's right. In the future.
It's a little bit of
Toilet to the future is coming.
That's right.
So tune in.
Toilet multi-dimensions happening.
Like Hall Lab's got to be worried. Like, oh man, Dylan's over in South Africa reinventing the toilet over there.
One day ahead too.
I know he's a day ahead, so can't sleep.
But you know what? It's okay if there's a little bit of friendly competition in the toilet space because one, we don't really need it. We just need all good ideas. So I think we should just hook them up.
Yeah.
But two,
Well, it's a friendly space.
It's a
right?
friendly space. Yeah, so it's friendly competition.
Yeah.
I think we all help each other out, which is what I was impressed with our chat with Dylan, which I won't get into right now. But just super awesome guy looking to make toilet innovation even more accessible, I think on a wide scale with hopes to...
Everybody's talking about AI being the future. No, it's toilets.
It's toilets.
We're telling you right now.
It's toilets and
You heard
toilet
it here
technology.
first.
That's right. That's right. But all that goodness later. First comes poo news.
Yeah, Jocelyn, you need to sell your Tesla stock and just invest in toilets. I'm telling you.
All right, fine.
So, okay, you guys are both mothers, right?
Mhm.
So this is some news. How would it be like to... And this is a plain toilet story. Sorry, Kelsey.
Oh.
As in an airplane?
More
Airplane.
airplanes.
You know, the best stories, the best toilet stories are on airplanes.
We do talk about airplanes a lot.
Airplane
It's a unique toilet place.
It's
right?
true.
It is. It's true.
You can't escape it.
I mean, you're
That's from-
pooping in the air.
In the air.
It's kind of
at
wild.
30,000 feet.
Why is there not more submarine toilet news?
Yeah.
No, those are I want to know those stories too.
Yeah, well, we'll have those. That's
the
next
deep
week.
sea
The deep sea subs, how are those guys doing stuff? Are they just plugging themselves up?
And astronauts. I have questions about that.
Well, what do you think those
situation.
torpedo tubes are for?
Problem.
You know?
Mystery solved. Mystery solved.
If you back up the toilet, oh, no problem. Just shoot it out the
Shoot
front.
it out.
Um,
But what's going on in airplane world?
so anyway, how would you feel if you went into the toilet as a woman and you come out with a newborn baby?
No.
In your arms.
Oh, somebody had a baby in the airplane toilet.
A young woman boarded a plane to Hawaii and said she had felt like she was having intestinal problems. Went to the bathroom, didn't realize she was pregnant.
What?
These are the stories that just baffle me.
This is called a cryptic pregnancy, is the term. Apparently linked to hormonal imbalances.
I'm not going to lie. I would kind of like a pregnancy like that.
The condition leaves
where you don't even know what's happening.
You don't even know.
Yeah,
I have heard of this, though.
Unaware of their pregnancy until they're in labor, affecting, it says 1 out of 100 women. I mean, is that true?
Wow,
that's pretty
crazy.
common.
I know. I don't know anyone personally who's been in this situation, but I have heard about this on TV.
I have. Yeah, I have watched a lot of TLC.
Yeah,
I didn't know I was pregnant.
That's right. There was a whole show about this.
Yeah,
yeah.
Anyway, it's a happy story because it's a baby born in the bathroom. Apparently, she did not know when she was sort of pushing, and then a baby comes out.
But I want to know how long that flight was, because labor is a long time.
It was from.
Some people have fast deliveries.
Yeah, was that her first baby?
From Australia to Hawaii.
Oh,
so it was a long
you can
flight.
have a baby from Australia to Hawaii.
Yeah,
yeah.
You could probably get pregnant and then have a baby. By the time you get there, the kid's like 10 years old. Anyway, baby was born at 29 weeks. Luckily, there were 5 emergency workers on plane.
Oh, that's amazing!
And they didn't have all the necessary equipment that you would need for it. But yet they were able to keep the baby, I guess in a state where the baby was baby until they landed, and then obviously went to the hospital. But here's a little picture of them.
She's beautiful.
After
she is. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Anyway, so a little happy toilet bathroom story.
Can you imagine being a passenger and hearing what's going on in the bathroom and wondering, do I need to go in there? Is everything okay?
Well, you wonder, like at 29 weeks, the infant's so small, you wonder if it's as difficult as a delivery.
Yeah, it's probably a much different experience. If
right.
It's
like, does it just feel, I don't know.
Intense bowel movement, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Especially if you don't know that you're pregnant. Like that's.
Oh my gosh, that is so wild.
Yeah, so there was the doctor on board. So there's medical personnel and a doctor on board. So the infant was not breathing, but yet they got it to start breathing, and they made a makeshift incubator. I don't know.
Wow.
And then the baby started warming up and pinking up.
Oh,
so the first hour was really tricky, but fortunately, this is a tough little kid. This baby just.
That is really sweet.
That's really sweet.
So we had a premature baby, and it was. I was always impressed how, you think all the odds are against him, but that will to live is like stronger than anything. So. Yeah, it's cool.
Wow. Airplane toilets have the privilege of seeing many a thing.
Yeah.
Including life.
Well, that's one of the better stories about airplane bathrooms.
Yes. Yeah. So, you never know. You might, you thought it was that burrito that you ate, and then you come out with a little baby. That's a great trade-off.
I'm always so curious how these women learn that it's a baby that they've delivered. Because if he's not breathing, you don't hear a cry.
You just assume you're good and you flush the toilet?
Yeah, if it's not. But maybe it's so painful, or maybe you start bleeding. And I don't know. Whatever that journey is for them, whatever that experience is.
It doesn't go into that much detail. Like she doesn't but anyway, maybe they make a movie out of it.
Okay. I don't want to watch that.
Your next Netflix is going to be this.
It's like Snakes on a Plane.
Snakes on a Plane. Yeah.
But with a happier ending.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, talking about toilet technology and you've had experience with wood toilet seats,
I have.
And growing up. This is called the Woody Block. And this is a toilet, the world's first toilet made out of 100% wood composite. So they take wood particles.
Self-assembly comes from Amazon?
No, they actually pressurize it into, I don't know how much pressure, but then they have a kind of resin composite, and then it makes a toilet. And they say it's the toilet seat's warm. It feels like wood because it is wood. It doesn't have this cold porcelain feel.
Yeah.
Anyway, would you buy one? Would you get one?
Yeah.
I think that sounds nice.
Coated in resin, sure.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Oh, yeah. That's
Let's
nice.
see.
It's kind of a...
Yeah, that's cool looking.
Anyway.
Looks a little bit like an airport bathroom countertop.
Yeah, it's
but kind of a modern
minimal.
look, very,
Yeah, it's very
For
sleek.
people who aren't watching, I don't even know how to describe this, but there is no base. It just comes right out of the toilet. Like
it comes out of the wall.
It's a little
right out of the wall.
floating toilet. Yeah.
It's a small floating toilet.
But it's supposed to be a little, and it's made out of recycled wood, right?
Cool. But it's
And-
kind of
Cool.
soft.
And they say it's very comfortable. It's because you get a warm sort of. Some people don't like a warm toilet seat. I kind of like it, but
I love a warm toilet. Unless it's warm because someone was just on it.
yeah,
Then I don't like it. But if it's
like a porta potty warmness. Like,
yeah. No, but the fancy toilets that are heated, those are
I mean, that's wood.
deluxe. Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, it kind of looks like stone almost, but
Yeah, it's super impressive.
but like stone would be super cold, but this is like
Yeah.
Anyway,
I do have to admit, the feeling of sitting down on a wooden toilet seat versus porcelain or plastic, it's
more appealing.
it's way more comfortable.
Well, you're doing something
Yeah.
natural. It just makes sense to sit on something more natural and
For
let
sure.
the whole process be an organic experience.
Yeah, true.
So,
You're doing an organic thing
yes,
and on an organic piece of
you just feel more
Making
centered.
more organics.
Yeah,
making more
That's
organic
right.
material.
that was meant to be
Exactly
done.
right. So
love it.
currently, we don't have these toilets on the marketplace, but you never know. Maybe
Hopefully soon.
Maybe,
Yeah, stay tuned.
maybe soon. We actually made $1.75 on the marketplace the other day.
Hey,
Somebody bought something. I don't know what it was, but
Thank you.
thank
whoever
you.
that was.
Yeah.
that helps go.
Wait,
to buy,
what did they buy?
I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't dived into the
The details of
accountants
it.
and no, I just saw it like, oh, here's your, and a portion of that goes toward building toilets, right? So
Love it.
yeah,
Okay, guys, we need a lot
Marketplace.
more of you to spend at least $1.75 because we want to build a lot of toilets for a lot of people.
yeah,
Yes.
you only get so far with $1.75. Maybe we need a little bit more than that. But,
Yeah, a little bit more.
yeah, but we just launched it, so
It's picking up.
We'll
It feels like the first dollar that we should
We should frame it.
frame it.
Put it right here. A
Should
digital
frame it.
dollar.
yeah, a little screenshot
Yes.
with that digital. Yeah.
I love it. Well, speaking of celebrations in the toilet space, Dylan really has so many incredible things.
Well, the
to say.
technology. Why I picked that article was because what they were using this composite for.
Yeah.
So Dylan's got, and he'll get into it, but these bricks that they're making out of urine,
Mm-hmm.
you can actually build with it.
Mm.
Amazing.
Build
can-
my house out of toilet bricks.
You can build a house out of it. I mean, it's like concrete.
yeah.
Because there's
Anyway.
so much, is there calcium in urine or what is it
You
that you
just wait till listen
Okay,
to
all
this
right.
interview.
Yep, I'm with
Yeah,
you guys. I
it's,
can't wait to
Get
find out.
into it.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy.
Well, Dylan, welcome to the ZuLoo Pōōdcast. We are so delighted to have you on the show. It's a special treat, I feel, for us to get to speak with you. I've heard a lot about your accolades and just where you've come from, but I'd love it if you could give a little introduction to our audience. Who are you? What do you have to do with sanitation?
So I'm a chemical engineer by training, and my work focuses on wastewater treatment, specifically the recovery of resources from wastewater. And I'm currently an associate professor in water quality engineering at the University of Cape Town in South Africa.
That's amazing. Can you break that down a little bit for our listeners? We've done tours of water reclamation plants and things like that, but it still feels sometimes a little technical. When you say reclaiming resources from wastewater, what is that? What is that?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So I think in a traditional sense, what we do with our wastewater, so this would be the stuff that comes from our homes, at least in a developing country or a country like South Africa, we merely treat it so that it's supposedly safe to discharge back into the environment. But what we don't do is recover the potential value from that wastewater stream. So things like the nutrients in there, the key things we need to grow food, for example. So things like fertilizers, We can recover energy. We can actually recover the water itself so that we treat it further and we can use it to drink. So all those kind of things are what we call resources. These are secondary things that you typically wouldn't associate with your wastewater, but if you have the right process, you can recover them and create value from them.
Are you talking about mainly the things that get discharged, like phosphorus and different other kinds of carbon?
Yep.
Carbon that usually gets treated, but then it's still released into the environment, typically, correct?
Yeah, so the two key things that we typically have as an issue with the discharge into the environment is phosphorus, like you've said, and also nitrogen. And what we do with a traditional wastewater treatment plant, they're designed to remove those two key nutrients, if you like. And if we don't get that right, we get the eutrophication of our natural water bodies. So that's the pollution of our natural water bodies. So what we want to do is to try and recover that. Or at the moment, we treat it so that it's safe. But I guess what I'm saying is we could take it a step further. We could actually recover that as a valuable product to reuse it, right? To reuse it as fertilizers and things like that. So these would be the things that would come from your feces, your urine, your grey water, depending on the detergent you use, any kind of supposedly waste stream that comes from your homes. We could separate those and treat them so that we can recover the resources that are in those streams.
And currently, correct me if I'm wrong, but currently the standard operating procedure of most water reclamation plants or treatment plants, they just treat it, kill the pathogens in it, maybe remove any crazy things like face masks and tampons and all kinds of other things, and then release it into the after it's treated, it releases it into a body of water, a lake,
right,
the ocean, and that. But supposedly it's safe. But isn't it true that a lot of these it still puts out these nutrients into the water, which obviously affects. My understanding is that it still has an impact on the ecosystem where it's discharged, even though it's technically safe. Correct?
Yeah. So I think that's true for places where your wastewater treatment plants are working properly, but that's not necessarily the case in South Africa, where many of our wastewater treatment plants actually don't function properly.
So tell me more about the bio. Like what you're doing is the bio brick that your department and your colleagues have developed. You're basically, my understanding is that you're taking your urine out of the system and then you're able to capture that somehow and distill it into, I guess, a brick. From what I'm just looking at the one of the articles on, I guess it's allafrica.com, and you've got a bio brick. You're standing there with some of your students holding it. And so it's, maybe tell me what the process is behind that and what, how is that different from what's currently being done?
So maybe I'll start with how we actually collect the urine. So what we developed was a fertilizer producing urinal. So it's also a waterless urinal. So it allows us to collect urine really easily. And we produce multiple products actually from that collected urine, and one of those is the biobrick. So once we've collected the urine, what we have to do is we have to treat it to prevent a component in the urine from breaking down, and that component is called urea. So urea is interesting. It's a fertilizer, but it also has many other uses. And special type of bacteria actually break down the urea. And we use that whole process to produce the biobrick. So what we do is we take any loose aggregate material, so it could be sand, it could be plastic, it could be glass, anything that you essentially want to cement together. And what we do is we colonize it with this bacteria. We put it into a mold, in this case in the shape of a brick, and then we feed the bacteria the urea, which comes from the urine, and also a source of calcium. So the calcium also comes from the urine. And give it about 4 to 6 days, you have a solid brick for me. So I actually have a very small sample of, you can see how strong it is.
How heavy is that? Is that pretty lightweight? Is it pretty lightweight?
No, it's pretty heavy.
Okay. So it's like concrete. It's like concrete.
Yeah. So it can get. So a normal clay brick is anywhere from 12 to 14 megapascals in terms of compressive strength. So what this means is how much force do you need to break the brick. This current brick that we have now created from urine is about 16 megapascals. So just to give you an idea of how strong it is.
So is that something you could actually build with it? Is that a possibility if you put rebar? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud.
So you can think of it, you can make bricks from it. We're currently making tiles from it. Any kind of building material that you would want where you need that strength, you essentially could use this biological process to make it. The great thing about the process is it's completely natural because it's happening at room temperature and you're using bacteria, rather than, say, making a brick that is kiln fired at 1,400 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but
it's pretty hot.
Let's just say that a conventional brick needs a lot of energy and it also produces carbon dioxide, whereas this process actually indirectly sequesters carbon dioxide.
So to make a brick, you'd have to put a lot of energy, a lot of heat, and and pressure to create the brick. I mean, you're saying that this is a natural process that the bacteria helps like solidify the urea around, like, say, sand or whatever other aggregate you put in, right?
Yeah. So basically what the bacteria do, they produce what we call a biocement from the urine. So the potential for this is actually quite substantial because you can make many products from it and not just bricks. Yeah.
What kind of products are being made?
So at the moment, we're just making two things, tiles and bricks. But you could make columns, you could make slabs, you could make paving, you could make roof tiles, anything that you traditionally would have made with, say, clay or ceramics or things like that, you could mimic with this process, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. That's fascinating. A few months ago, we interviewed, I don't know, you may know Jenna Senecal in Sweden, Sanitation 360. Are you familiar with her procedure or product? I guess that they're mainly using it, I think, for agriculture, in my understanding. How is your process? Is it a very similar process that you're describing, or is it what's the key? I mean, I think hers that they were creating little pellets out of it so it could be easily distributed to farmers and what have you. This with the bricks, is it just a matter of how it's processed at the end? Is that the main difference, or is there some other difference?
Yeah, so I think I work quite closely with the Privy Simma. So he's also part of Sanitation 360. I'm actually going to Uppsala in May for a month. So that should be quite exciting. But our processes are similar in the sense that we stabilize the fresh urine that you collect. And what that means is we try and keep the urea in solution and we don't have it break down. So that's the first step. So both teams, if you like, or research groups do that. We just do it in a slightly different way. So we use calcium hydroxide. They use a combination of calcium hydroxide and magnesium oxide. But what we do thereafter is also similar. We just use different technologies. So they use an evaporation process to essentially concentrate the urine. So what we mean by that is we remove the water and then you've got all the nutrients left over. What we do is we use a membrane process. So it's the same technology you would use to desalinate seawater, where we use reverse osmosis now to remove the water, and then essentially we concentrate it. So while they produce a solid fertilizer, we produce a liquid fertilizer. So those are the, I guess, key differences between the different technologies. And then that liquid component is what we use to make the things like the biobrick, the liquid fertilizers, and other things as well. Yeah.
So the liquid at the end could be the end product, so to speak, that could be used in agriculture, or you could certainly take it from that point and then, I guess, mix it with other, like you were mentioning, sand or some
Correct.
other aggregate kind of material for it to adhere to, right? And then possibly, but in order to create a brick, is it just a matter of it settling out and letting the water evaporate, or do you have to you don't have to? Doesn't sound like you have to apply pressure or kind of heat or anything. It just sort of makes a brick over time.
Yeah. So you can use the urine as is after you've stabilized it. So you essentially remove the solid fertilizers that would form, and now you're left with the liquid component that is rich in nitrogen. And then that is the solution that you essentially use to make the brick. Or you could concentrate that solution to make the liquid fertilizer. So essentially what we're doing is we're producing multiple processes that take urine as a feed stream to the process with the intention of making different products. So each process will produce a different product. So what do I mean by products? So one would be the biobrick, one would be the liquid fertilizer. We can make other types of fertilizers if we want. And I'm sure there's processes that we haven't even envisioned at the moment. Give us another 5 years and we have another chat and we'll have a very long list of all the great things that we could make just from urine. So that's the long-term goal.
Maybe rocket fuel to Mars, something like that.
So we laugh. The really interesting thing with the urea as a component, so you could produce things like jet fuel or even diesel engine fluid, because it's essentially 33% the urea solution. But if we look at a whole bunch of other streams that are supposedly waste streams, and we create this paradigm shift in how we view them, how we can recover value from them, I think it allows us to achieve a sustainable future much faster. And that's essentially what we're working on.
Oh, that's fascinating. That's fascinating. So is the process of recovering that or capturing that urea, is that something that could, if you could go to an existing wastewater treatment plant or a reclamation plant, and I mean, they have their processes already in place, but is that something that you could, I guess, bolt on to an existing system and say, hey, we're going to, I mean, you wouldn't have to redesign the entire system, right? You could say, hey, we're going to now extract this instead of like flushing it downstream. We're going to, I guess, bolt on a process where we were able to extract that. Is that sort of what you have envisioned there, or is that?
So I wish it was that easy. The issue with urea is that it degrades so easily. So within 24 to 48 hours, it's converted to other things. And what you have to do if you want to recover it, to use it in all these other processes, you have to prevent that reaction from occurring. And you have to do it when the urine is what we call fresh. So when the urine is immediately produced from the body. And so that's why we treat the urine within the urinal. So the moment someone pees into the urinal, it's treated and the urea's reaction breakdown is prevented from happening. So that is the key. So once you have that implemented on a wide scale, then you can recover the kind of urea amounts that you would want for all these other processes.
Okay, that's good to know. Right at the source.
Correct.
Okay, so it's more of it's not downstream. I mean, by that time it's too late, right?
It has to be
at the source.
Pretty much at source, toilet or urinal, or basically within a 24-hour period. And ideally, no contamination with feces, ideally also not diluted with, sadly, in many places of the world, we use drinking water to flush toilets and urinals, and I think that's a shame. And there's no need for us to actually use that drinking water to flush urine away, right? If we do that, then it just means we require more energy to remove the water. So the human body separates our waste streams for a reason, and we shouldn't combine them later on and think we're clever and try and treat it as a combined stream.
So is that so I guess the solution is more going to be implemented at the like we're talking about at the user interface level, right? The toilet itself, the urinal itself. And I believe like what Jenna was describing was a urine diverting toilet. I think Berger's system is a similar system where they divert the urine from the feces and they don't mix it in with the water. That seems to be a key component. I think of when we talk about on the Poodcast, we talk a lot about what does the future look like for toilets, and it seems to me, Kelsey, well, I don't know what you think about it, but it seems to me like it's going to be something that is not what we're accustomed to when it comes to flushing a gallon of drinking water with it all mixed together, right? It seems like it's going to be something that diverts and is, I guess you have more of a smart toilet system that is able to, maybe capture some of these nutrients and put them in a place where they could be more easily utilized or better utilized, right? As opposed to just flushing it downstream, right?
Yeah, so I think the key is, like you say, that interface, that user interface. And I think the future sanitation systems will have that more widespread, where you will have these toilets that essentially separate our feces and urine without a difference in the user behavior. So when I'm using a toilet, I'm not going to, my toilet behaviors are not going to change with the new toilet. I'm going to just use it, but what essentially the toilet is doing is it's separating the urine and the feces. And I think that's the key, right? We have to separate those streams, and we have to separate it at the toilet level. What we do thereafter will differ. So we can treat the urine, for example, at a building scale level. We could treat it at a suburb level, but then you have to have the dual piping system. I think long term, it would be amazing if we could also do it at a household level. So imagine a future where, just like you take out your trash or your recyclable material and you put it outside your house to be carted away by the municipality, imagine now you have cartons of urine that have been pre-treated and are perfectly safe. Pathogens have been destroyed because you've increased the pH, or you've added chemicals to the toilet to do that. And that's carted away to now be further processed to produce all these other cool things that we're currently producing from it. I think that future is probably a lot more far off than saying having a commercial building where all our urine is diverted to the basement and then it's treated on site. All the water is removed. And by the way, we could also recycle that water within the building and use that very same water to flush the toilets, or use it to water gardens and things like that within the building or the surroundings. So I think the future sanitation systems are going to be very different to how they are currently. And in my opinion, they have to change. We can't continue with this business as usual.
Yeah, it seems like at the new construction level, you've got that opportunity to put in that kind of system that is more, I guess, the building of the future, or maybe an apartment building of the future that has those sort of systems in it. You're retrofitting older systems. Yeah, it would have to be done, like you're saying, at the individual toilet level.
So I think that's a very good point, right? It's far easier to implement these kind of systems when you have a new build. But when you have an existing building, to now go and put in a dual piping system, the cost alone probably prohibits you from doing that. So you have to have things like, for example, our fertilizer producing urinal, they standalone entities. They don't have to be connected to a sewer line. And that was intentional because of this reason. You want to be able to collect urine, but you don't have to retrofit the plumbing system to allow you to do that. The urinals were actually also, if you like, born out of necessity, because we were going through a really bad drought in Cape Town in 2017, and we wanted to be able to collect urine with a system that uses no water. And so the urinal, or the fertilizer producing urinal, was essentially developed. But just to put things in perspective of what we actually went through during the drought, we were sitting sometimes where you were only allowed to use 50 liters of water per day. You wouldn't flush your toilet every time you used it. So the urine would often just sit in the toilet. Only when you went for number 2 would you flush the toilet. And often you would flush the toilet with your grey water that you collected in a bucket while you were showering. You wouldn't shower every day. It was crazy, but this became the norm for almost 2 years in Cape Town. And we dropped our water consumption from about 1,200 megaliters per day to about 450 megaliters per day, just by these kinds of interventions. Yeah, so we did all that without the new technologies and just by changing our behavior. And I think that's actually profound. And what came from that is, still to this day, I can't bring myself to take a long shower. I feel guilty if I take a bath. I actually don't have a bath in my home, but if I travel and I bath, I feel guilty. So I think it's basically essentially part of us now. And when we build new buildings in Cape Town, this whole recycling and water usage and limiting our water usage is now part of those new builds. And when we look at things like urine separation, feces separation, I would imagine in the near future, we're going to have that as part of new builds as well, where it's legislated that we have to implement these kind of technologies. And I think that's the kind of future that's really exciting.
Couldn't agree more with you, Dylan. I just think it's amazing to see how sometimes we're forced by necessity into new behaviors. And I think that's going to be really key to being able to see the future of reclaiming resources and seeing them as resources and not as waste, like you're saying, and then moving into a more sustainable future. I feel like we just got into the meat of this topic. So hopefully we can have you on the show again, because unfortunately we're about to be cut off. But
sure, no problem.
So much for joining us on the podcast today, sharing your wisdom with us. so excited to see the future of sanitation go this direction. I mean, so exciting.
Well, so that's Dylan. Genius, right?
It's incredible, actually.
It's
totally. I mean, that someone is smart enough to know that this is even possible, or that it is. I mean, maybe they didn't know it was possible, like when they're first starting to do it. But to go down that road and have faith that it's going to turn into that is really amazing.
I mean, I want to build like my next house out of this stuff.
For real, though. Build your first outhouse on your lake house.
Or the pool house. Because half of that's pee anyway.
Yeah. If I got to use all my own, maybe it's going to take me a while. If you guys want to contribute.
Start drinking more water.
Start drinking water.
They call it a bio brick.
Yeah.
Bio brick.
No, but really so incredible. Just the sheer amount of knowledge you have to have about chemistry, right? He's a chemical engineer. And so to know, okay, this is what happens in all these processes and this is how we can make it all work. Chemistry is truly magic to me. I don't understand a lick of it. I just know it's magical. Mm-hmm. And to make something like this, it just feels so space age.
Well, and they didn't, I mean, he was like, we call it waste. And it's like, that's not the right word for it. It's like
a resource.
It's a total resource you could use. It's like,
that's a big psychological shift that we should start.
We're just flushing it away. And,
well, same with when we toured the water reclamation plant, right? I was like, this is a wastewater plant. And they were like, actually, we would really prefer for you to call it the water reclamation plant because we're reclaiming our resources. And that's...
I think those words do make a big difference in how we view these processes.
Right.
And,
sure do.
Yeah.
Waste, we can just label, dump, whatever. We don't have to care about it. Resources, well, that's valuable. Mm-hmm. We want to keep our assets and our resources.
Pee-pee and poo-poo? No, it's building material.
Different. Well, you would think that
commodities.
Since we're talking about bricks, it's a little like counterintuitive. You think the one would make the other, but in this case, the pea's making the bricks.
Pea's making the bricks. Yeah. Well, amazing. I love also too, it's like took a class in college as part of the honors program at my university. And it was all about, it's like the freshman entry-level class. And it was all about how do you take ideas from different industries and fields and use them together to create something even more incredible. So that sparked a love for me learning about how different industries both inspire and fuel each other. So to think about this, fueling agriculture, fueling construction, helping economies flourish, building people's homes. Like, it's really impressive to see that, like, okay, if we can take this important resource that WASH has, how many other industries and spheres can that improve as well? And this is just literally innovation at its finest. Yep. Love it.
Very excited for the future.
Excited for the future.
The toilets of the future, I think, are going to be
houses of the future.
Wood composite, and then you're going to, in a house of pee-pee bricks.
And house of pee-pee bricks.
You'll never have to clean the base because there won't be one.
There won't be a base.
They'll just shoot right out of the wall.
Man, that just made me want one of those so much more. I hadn't thought about that until now.
That would be so much easier to clean.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
That's one of the advantages. You just clean right under it.
Mm-hmm.
Or
one Clorox wipe, no toothbrush needed. You're done.
You're done.
That's right.
You don't have, no hands and knees to.
Yeah.
Anyway. Well, ZuLoo friends, we hope that you enjoyed this episode of the ZuLoo Pōōdcast. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Give us a rating on Apple or Spotify or wherever you're listening to. We would love, love, love your feedback and love it more if you shared us with a friend.
And go check out the marketplace. You never know what you might find.
You can get cute stuff like this.
As Jocelyn, for our audio listeners, the travel bidet.
Sorry, people. It's this adorable pink bidet that looks like a toy.
It does. It's like a cute little traffic cone.
Yeah, you're right. But I love the color, and it's incredibly handy.
And for only however many 99s, you can it can be yours. Well,
That's right.
On that note, everybody, we'll catch you next week.
Thank you for listening to the ZuLoo Pōōdcast. Follow us on social media at our links in the show notes below. To learn more, visit our website, ZuLoo.org. If you liked the podcast, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. For even more ZuLoo fun, send us an email with your toilet stories to podcast@zuloo.com for a chance to be featured on the podcast. This episode of the ZuLoo Pōōdcast is sponsored by ZuLoo Inc., a benefit corporation dedicated to the goal of universal access to toilets, hygiene, clean water and sanitation through the power of social enterprise. Learn more at ZuLoo.com.